Hello, people from around the universe! I am your host, the Italian Ace Trainer, and welcome to my top 5 Pokemon predictions for 2022. Cue my intro. So, for the first prediction, I think the Pokemon Legends Arceus will be released on January 28th. Okay, I just put that in there because I thought it was funny. I'm probably the only one who thinks it's funny, but it's there now, and it's not like I can just cut it out of the footage, so what can you do? But now for my actual first prediction, and just so you know, these are probably gonna go in the order that I think is from most likely to least likely. So take that for what you will. But I do firmly believe, and that's why it's my first one, that Legends Arceus will have new Hisuian forms for the starters. Now, like I said, this is not some groundbreaking prediction, or even one that I think other people will dispute. But since technically the starters haven't been confirmed to get new Hisuian forms, I felt like I had to put it in here because, well, technically we don't know for sure, and so it's still a prediction. And I needed a fifth one for the video, so here we go. Next, let's jump into one that is a bit spicier, if you will. One that I think will have a lot of people's interest piqued. And that is, I think that in 2022, Pokemon will, at the very least, reveal a new main series game. Now, I have a couple reasons for this. One, usually a new generation is released every 3 or 4 years, and 2022 would be 3 years since the release of Gen 8, so it would make sense for them to release Gen 9 in that year. And two, even if they're going with the 4-year schedule, they have seemed to transition more and more to revealing the games like a year prior and then having multiple trailers leading up to them. I mean, just look at Legends Arceus. We've had, what, at least 7 trailers on it? That's crazy. I mean, the game isn't even out, and there's been so much build-up for it that I think Pokemon is probably catching on that if they can get more and more hype around the game, it probably means more and more money for them. And while I don't think they necessarily need it because they are the highest grossing franchise of all time, I'm pretty sure, they still won't say no to extra moolah. So I do think it's very possible, and honestly very likely, that we at least get the reveal of the first Gen 9 game next year. Also, for anyone wondering, I'm saying next year because it's 2021 for me still, but I'm releasing this I think on the 1st of January 2022. So for you it's this year, but for me it's next year. So if I ever say next year, I mean this year. Okay? Okay. But let's ramp it up a notch with another prediction that, while maybe not as exciting as the first Gen 9 game being revealed, is still going to be a pretty good time if it comes true. And that is that I am almost positive Legends Arceus will have some sort of DLC. So, okay, we've never had a Pokemon game like Legends Arceus before, so it's really hard to anticipate exactly what they're going to do with it. However, with Pokemon going more and more towards the route of DLC with the recent releases, I think that even though it's not a main series Pokemon game, like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl that just released, or Sword and Shield, or what have you, there is still a very good chance that it will follow in the pattern of something like Sword and Shield, where, you know, it's a new story, and even though there is going to be the initial release with the full main story, they're then going to add different chapters to it in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, or even a year after the game is released. Now again, this is less likely to happen, in my opinion at least, than my first 2 predictions, and it could actually end up not well, happening. And it's probably the first one that I've talked about so far that I'm less than 80% sure on. Still, I think there's a pretty good chance that some kind of DLC or extra content is added to Legends Arceus after its initial release. And because of that, I'm still confident enough to tell you that this is going to happen more likely than not, in my opinion. But alright, those first three were all fun and games, so let's move on to one that I think has a decent chance of happening, but that maybe not everyone is thinking of right now. And that is Pokemon revealing a new spin-off game, whether that be just a completely new game like Legends Arceus, or a sequel to another spin-off series like the Mystery Dungeon series or the Colosseum XD series or what have you. And yes, my mention of Colosseum and XD is not just casually thrown out there because I've never played through those games. And so I would love, and I do mean this, I would actually absolutely love Pokemon making a sequel to them for the Switch. I feel like this is the perfect time to do so, as the Switch combines both a portable console with a home console in a way, which seems perfect for something like a Colosseum and XD sequel. Now, yes, admittedly, this is not the most likely outcome. In fact, if I had to give a guess as what type of spin-off game they would announce, I think Let's Go would be the most likely to get a sequel. But, I can still dream that they're going to give us a Colosseum and XD sequel, can't I? I mean, come on, that would be amazing. Who wouldn't want that? If you're gonna say that you wouldn't want that, just keep it to yourself, okay? I don't want to hear it. Okay, I'm kidding. Definitely tell me what you think and what you would want, but like, come on, who actually would be upset with a new Colosseum/XD style game? Also, I do want to reiterate that it is very possible that it's not actually a sequel to any of the old spin-off games, and it's just a completely new one, like Legends Arceus is. However, I don't know if they would do another major release of a spin-off game like 1 or 2 years after Legends Arceus that is completely different from something they've done in the past. Don't get me wrong, it's still possible, and I would welcome it because there's so many incredible spin-off series, like the Colosseum and XD one, but also Mystery Dungeon, for example, that if they did a new one, it could end up being one of their best yet. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's as likely as a sequel to a previous spin-off. But okay, let's get to my final prediction. And there's a reason I kept this for last, beyond it possibly being the least likely. And that is because my final prediction for Pokemon in 2022 is that the main series Pokemon game that will be revealed will be based on Italy. Now, there might be some bias showing through here on my end. I mean, I am Italian after all, in case you couldn't tell from the name and the channel logo and my accent and everything. But even with that, I do think that if I had to pick the most likely country/location for the new games to be based on, it would be Italy. So there's a couple reasons why I think this. One, they had that painting in, I think, Sword and Shield, maybe Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I'll double check, where they showed off what could very well be Venice at night. Although it could also be something completely different, which would not indicate Italy. But we're just going to focus on the possibility of this being Venice at night, which would obviously be a big hint, especially when you consider the fact that they've done this kind of stuff before by teasing Alola in Gen 6, for example, and Galar in Gen 7, so it's not unprecedented. But beyond that, recently they seem to have moved their focus to European regions for the games. Now, Alola is not really fitting into this, obviously, but Kalos and Galar are both based on France and Great Britain, respectively. So, I don't think it would be far-fetched at all for the next region to also be based around some country in Europe. Now, that country doesn't have to be Italy, of course, but let's be honest. What would you rather go? To a Pokemon region where you can visit something like the Colosseum, and the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and Venice, and various Greco-Roman temples, or anywhere else in the world? I mean, we all agree it's Italy, right? Great, awesome, thank you for agreeing. See you in the next video. Alright, yes, I'm sure some of you will have different countries that you would want to see more, and that's totally fine, it really is. But I do think you have to agree that a region based around Italy would be pretty fun. I mean, imagine the Pokemon League taking place in the Colosseum. What? What could possibly be cooler? I'll tell you what, nothing. So of course, as you can tell, there's some bias with me wanting this to be Italy. However, like I said before, there is some evidence that does actually point in that direction regardless. So I think that if I had to predict what country the next Pokemon games are going to be based on, Italy will be my #1 answer. Also, if they do reveal this in the trailer, I will be so excited that I'm actually literally going to lose my mind. So if you want to see that, then maybe consider subscribing. But anyway, I do hope you enjoyed the video. Please do let me know what your top 5 predictions are for Pokemon in 2022. And I hope to see you all in the next one. But until then, remember to follow the way of the Ace. See ya!